There's an anecdote in the book, 2007, a dinner with Wall Street CEOs, and you said that they admitted that they were over-leveraged, that they had too much risk. And for competitive reasons, if somebody was taking on these risks and they saw them doing it, then somebody else was doing it too. And one CEO actually said to you, can't you regulate it so that we can't do that? You said it was the end of an era. Why was it the end of an era?
Well, it was an end of an era because there had been this extended period of benign economic activity, that the world was seemingly awash in liquidity. There were low levels of inflation. Investors were reaching for risk. There just were excesses, and there were a lot of mistakes to go around. And the excesses have been building up for a long time. And it clearly was an end of an era, because that lunch you're referring to was just before the bottom fell out.
And the bottom fell out. It fell out several times, I feel like. It fell out. It was a slow motion.
It fell down. It kept falling out. It kept falling out. And so there was a...
At some point you must have felt like, what could happen tomorrow? I mean, remember those weekends where you were looking forward to the weekend because you needed the time to try to solve a problem, but then you knew once the weekend was there, that was it. You had to fix it.
Yeah, we went for about, for a number of months there, just nonstop. And I remember saying to the president, I feel like Job. I feel like everything bad that can happen is going to happen. And, he did a great job of bucking me up. And at that time, he said to me, Hank, you should welcome this. And I said, why should I welcome this? And he said, well, you've been preparing for this for your whole career. And, you have a president that understands what's going on. And it might not always look good, but we're going to do what it takes to prevent this economy from collapsing.
When you look back at those moments, and I've sort of described it sometimes as juggling flaming chainsaws, trying to keep all of this stuff in the air without getting hurt. And ironically, your connections with Wall Street were incredibly important in the book because you knew the players, you knew their personalities, you knew what was at risk for these people and how they thought. Yet today, there's a lot of criticism. Hank Paulson, the Treasury Secretary, was too close to Wall Street. Timothy Geithner, who ran the New York Fed, he was too close to Wall Street. Do you feel like that is a help or a hindrance in hindsight?
Oh, it was in 2020 hindsight. It was a huge help because one of the things I brought to the table was understanding markets, understanding what was going on at the different financial institutions, and also the fact that I'd been as CEO helped me when it came to the decision-making process. So I just felt that, particularly during the crisis, I needed to be talking to the heads of all of the major firms and learning as much as I could in terms of what was going on in the markets. But again, I was driven only by one thing, which was an understanding that if the system collapsed, the price would be paid by the American people. And I certainly didn't want to be the Treasury Secretary who was sitting in the seat when that happened.